This is the WEN 11,000-watt dual-fuel portable generator. It's a big, black, open-frame machine with heavy-gauge steel all around, solid wheels, and a folding handle. It looks like a workhorse because it is one. The frame sits high enough to clear rough ground, and the panel is crowded in a good way with outlets and switches clearly labeled. It's not flashy. It's the kind of tool you get because you want power on demand, not because you want something pretty. From my experience, the first thing to know is weight. At about 214 pounds, this is not a one-person lift. The wheel kit and handle are essential, and once you bolt them on, rolling it over flat ground is straightforward. Moving it into a truck bed or up steps takes help. The size is surprisingly compact for the power it makes, roughly 27 by 21 by 22 inches, so it stores easier than I expected for an 11,000-watt class unit. Key features that matter most to me are the dual-fuel setup, the 50-amp 120-240V outlet, the electric start, and the simple digital meter. Dual-fuel means I can run it on gasoline or propane. Gas tends to deliver the most power here, up to 11,000 surge watts and 8,300 running watts, while propane gives a bit less, but it stores well and doesn't gum up a carb if the unit sits. The 50A NEMA 14-50R outlet is what makes this generator stand out for homes with transfer switches and for larger RVs. I can use the L5-30 twist lock for many home setups and the 4 120-volt GFCI outlets to cover tools, fridges, and lights. The electric start with a key is a quality-of-life upgrade, especially in cold weather or during a midnight outage. The meter shows voltage, frequency, and hours, which makes it easy to follow the maintenance schedule. In my opinion, the raw power is the main reason to choose this model. On gasoline, I can run a lot of house at once. Think central AC, well pump, water heater, fridges, lights, and still have some headroom if I'm smart about sequencing big loads. For RV use, the 50A port means I can feed the rig properly without sketchy adapters, and both rooftop AC units can run if I manage other appliances. That said, this is not a quiet generator. It's an open-frame, high-output setup, so the sound profile is closer to a job site unit than a small inverter. I place it far from living areas and angle the exhaust away. Distance and fences help. If noise is a top concern, you'll want to budget time and materials for a ventilated, weather-safe, sound-dampening enclosure. Let's talk power quality in plain terms. Total harmonic distortion, THD, describes how clean the electricity is. Inverter generators make very clean sine waves, which sensitive electronics like computers and UPS systems prefer. This WEN, like most conventional open-frame units, has higher THD. WEN rates it under 15%. That's fine for motors, pumps, heaters, and many appliances. It's not ideal for sensitive electronics. From my experience, some UPS units won't accept the output, and some microwaves act fussy. I keep a small inverter generator for the picky stuff and let this big WEN handle the heavy lifting. Fuel and runtime are practical concerns. The tank holds about 6.6 gallons. At around a half load, I see roughly 8 to 9 hours on gasoline. Propane is convenient, but on a standard 20-pound tank, I get only a few hours on the main full load. If I plan to run propane through a long outage, I line up multiple tanks or step up to a larger cylinder. Gasoline gives me the best mix of power and runtime, and I keep stabilizer in my fuel and rotate stock. If you're new to generators, surge watts is the brief peak available for starting big loads, while running watts is the steady output. Big motors, like an AC compressor, draw a spike of power the instant they kick on, so that surge rating matters. Reliability is where the story gets complicated. I've had a strong run with this model doing tough jobs, and I've also seen units that needed attention. From my experience, the build feels solid, but the small parts can be hit or miss. I've seen a starter solenoid give up early on a different unit, and I've seen a carburetor that needed replacing long before it should have. I've also had great luck with WEN customer support shipping parts fast for shipping damage, and I've had frustrating calls where a claim didn't go the way I expected. That inconsistency is worth factoring into your decision. If you're handy and comfortable with basic wrenching, changing a plug, checking valves, replacing a regulator, you'll be better positioned to own a generator like this. A few ownership tips shaped my results. I do a careful break-in with fresh oil, vary the load during the first hours, and change the oil early. I swapped the factory spark plug for a brand I trust. I run the unit under load once a month so it's not a surprise during an outage. I store gasoline with stabilizer and shut off the fuel to let the carb run dry before long storage. Oil changes are a little messy because of the drain placement, so a small funnel and rags help. Keep a spare plug, oil, and an extra propane regulator handy. Also, the DF1100T lacks an onboard carbon monoxide shutoff. If that's a must-have, the DF1100X version adds a CO sensor. Either way, I always run it outside, far from windows and doors, and I keep battery-powered CO alarms indoors. It's perfect for homeowners who need to run big loads, like central AC and a well pump, without juggling small generators, and for RV owners who want a native 50A hookup. If you only care about laptops, media gear, and networking, I'd steer you to an inverter model with low THD. If you need the muscle to run a house and you're okay with some noise and fuel use, this WEN brings serious value. From my experience, the best setup is pairing it with a proper manual transfer switch or interlock so you can safely power circuits without extension cord spaghetti. I'd recommend this for the hands-on user who wants maximum wattage per dollar, plans to maintain their equipment, and understands the trade-offs between conventional and inverter output. If you want a generator that's whisper quiet, super light, and guaranteed to be gentle on sensitive electronics, this isn't it. If your priority is raw power, dual fuel flexibility, an included battery and wheel kit, and that 50A 120-240 volt connection, it shines. In my opinion, the value proposition is strong but nuanced. The cost per watt and the versatility are excellent. The potential downside is variability in small part reliability and the fact that the output isn't the cleanest for modern electronics. If you go in with eyes open, do the break-in right, and keep up with maintenance, it can serve as a reliable anchor during outages or while camping with a big rig. In conclusion, the WEN 11,000-watt dual-fuel generator is a heavy-duty solution with the power to back up a home or feed a 50A RV, plus the convenience of electric start and dual-fuel flexibility. It asks for a bit of mechanical confidence and gives you a lot of wattage and features in return. If that trade makes sense to you, it's a strong pick. If you're new to generators, don't be intimidated. Learn the basics of surge versus running watts, THD, safe placement, and fuel care, and you'll be ahead of most owners on day one. If this video helped, please subscribe to the channel and drop your questions or your experience with this model in the comments. Thank you for watching.